I was just testing the mic. Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
That was my greeting. How are we doing? Good stuff. Good to see you guys. Welcome to Barbados. Anybody been here before? No. Yeah, we got a couple. All right, 3, 4. All right. You know what that means? The rest of you guys, you got to come back. Well, welcome back to our return visitors. So my name is Jamal, and I'm going to be your tour guide for today. All right? And today we're very lucky. We're fortunate today. We're traveling in the very capable hands of our driver, David. Say hi to David. All right, David is our best driver. All right? David's our best driver. And don't let the fact that I say that about all of them serve as any. It's true today. It really is, David. We're going to head along the Spring Garden Highway. We got the Tiami cruises. Some of the cruise terminal guests opted to do that Tiami catamaran cruise this morning. That's a really nice cruise. Those guys head up the western coast of the island and then they stop off the coast of St. Peter where they swim with the turtles. As we turn left onto the Spring Garden Highway, look over there to your right. That facility that we can see is Kensington Oval. Kensington Oval, and the likeness that's born outside Kensington Oval is that of Sir Gary Sobers. He's a national hero and an international cricket legend. That's our international cricket stadium. Cricket is a very important sport here. The guys take it really well. Indeed, for the most part, the island is surrounded by nice beaches. And Barbados is a limestone island, a geographical formation, I should say. We're a limestone island, so there's no volcanic rock here. We have no mountains. We don't even have any natural rivers or natural lakes here on the island. And we are considered geographically flat. We're a very flat island. And that works to our advantage. We're a small island, and that actually makes the distribution of our utilities and our goods and services relatively easy and pretty adequate. The fact that we're small and flat means that there's not a lot of obstacles to conquer in terms of getting around. As a matter of fact, our utility services are pretty adequately delivered all over the island. We don't have any of those, remote, out of the way areas where you don't get the services to, so the electricity gets everywhere, the water gets everywhere. The phone and the TV and the internet. This is definitely good for that. Like I said, a small island, just 166 square miles. That's the total land mass here on the island. We're 166 square miles. Total population, 284,000 people. 284,000 people. And no, we do not all know each other. Although sometimes it might well seem that way. Alright? We're a former British colony. We became independent from the British in 1966. November 30th, 1966 is the day we became independent, and so November 30th, which would be tomorrow, is our 49th anniversary of independence. 49th anniversary of independence, and then we begin the countdown, of course, to 50 years here in Barbados. As you drive around the island, you'll see a lot of buildings, a lot of cars, adorned with the national colours and the flag of the island. Of course, in recognition of this very, very important and significant time in Barbadian history. Moving nicely in a northern direction, traveling along the western coast here in Barbados. Now, the west coast on the island has really become a hub for tourism activity in recent years. A lot of villas and hotels, resorts, a lot of high-end restaurants going up over here on the western coast in recent years, creating some of the highest property values that the island has ever known. This west coast has been nicknamed the Platinum Coast. We call it the Platinum Coast now here on the island. And we're in Derrick, St. James. And as we move along this road runs parallel to the coastline, and hit between some of the buildings, you get a glimpse of the lovely west coast beaches as we move along. Like I said, lovely beaches all the way around, but the west coast beaches are especially nice. So a lot of our visitors are going to opt to spend a day or two over here on the west coast, and locals as well are going to bring their families out, bring the kids out, spend some time on the west coast, soaking up the sun and the sand. On our left immediately we have the Cliff Restaurant. One of the best, or one of the better lovely luxury restaurants here on the island. In 2006, the Cliff restaurant was ranked 26 in the world. Paynes Bay Beach is to our left, and we have the monument just passed by the monument, right alongside the taxi cab. Monument there at Paynes Bay Beach, a lovely Paynes Bay Beach here on the west coast, and some people getting off to some snorkeling, some early morning sea bathing. The significance of the monument was erected by the Cuban government. In 1976, a Cuban Aviation Airline, actually plunged into the water just 2 miles off the point where that monument was erected. 2 miles directly off the point where that monument has been erected. Unfortunately, this was no accident. A contingent of Cuban athletes just completed some sporting events in Venezuela. While that plane was on the ground in Venezuela, a bomb was placed on board. That plane left Venezuela. It made a brief stopover here in Barbados at what was then our Sewell Airport. The airport has since been renamed. It's now the Grantley Adams Airport in honor of one of our national heroes. So just a few minutes, maybe a 20-minute stopover at the Sewell Airport. As the plane took off from the Sewell Airport, that bomb was detonated. It caused the plane to crash into the sea 2 miles off the point where we see the monument. All 78 passengers and crew of board lost their lives. That happened in October of 1976. So just last month, the Cuban community in Barbados, as well as the diplomats at the Embassy of Cuba here in Barbados, came out in the ceremony and laid some wreaths and some flowers at the monument in commemoration of that tragic event. It was believed to have been the work of Cuban dissidents living in Venezuela in an attempt to topple the Fidel Castro government. On our left, look here to our left, and we've just come onto the properties of One Sandy Lane. Right here to our immediate left, One Sandy Lane. Now, One Sandy Lane is a collection of 4 villas, 2 penthouses, and 2 pavilion penthouses. All right, a leading luxury establishment here on the island. And the villas, which would be the cheapest of the lot, carry a price tag of 11 million US dollars. That's right, right there at One Sandy Lane. And a stay at One Sandy Lane will afford you a 24-hour concierge, 24-hour security, and a 24-hour team of gourmet chefs, among other things. Alright? Our small island is divided into 11 parishes. 11 parishes. I know you guys hear parishes, you think of some kind of religious connotation. Here, what we call parishes is kind of like what you guys call counties in the US. Yeah? Portown Police Station is on our left. It's St. James, home of the Royal Barbados Police Force. Those 11 parishes here on the island are all named after the patron saints, with the exception of Christchurch, to the south of the island. So we started in St. Michael, and now we're in St. James. We have the Lime Grove Shopping Centre on our right, the newest addition to luxury shopping here on the west coast. A lot of high-end outlets, your Ralph Lauren, your Michael Kors, your Louis Vuitton, your Burberry. It even has a new state-of-the-art movie cinema, a sprawling food court, and an authentic Cuban cigar shop. Coming up alongside, we got one of the coconut vendors. See the coconut vendors there, starting their busy Sunday. The Maple Cricket Club. Got another cricket club here on the island. You'll see them talking all over the place. Cricket, very important here on the island. James Parish Church, right here on our left. This is the St. James Parish Church. Like I just said, the island is divided into 11 parishes. Now, each parish is home to its own parish church. We're coming up on our right to the entrance, the main entrance to the Westmoreland, the Royal Westmoreland. And there isn't much to see from this side, but a drive up to Royal Westmoreland will reveal a lovely, lavish, gated community of beautiful private residences. Sir Cliff Richards actually lives in the Royal Westmoreland. And here in Barbados, by legislation, all beaches are public property. There are no private beaches here on the island. indeed we are a small island, and I guess the government doesn't want to get in the habit of selling spots of beach. That way none will be left for the public, and that's the way the people like it here. That's the way Barbadians like it. So even the lavished and lovely beachfront properties are always required by law to leave access to the beach. Barbados is a Christian nation, and that is the main religion here on the island, with all of its denominations. Out front in terms of numbers would be the Anglican faith. The vast majority of these islanders are Anglican. That will be followed then closely by the Catholic Church. In terms of numbers, the second largest following on the island would be the Catholic Church, and the third would be the Pentecostal Church. All of the other denominations of Christianity still alive and well here on the island. We have 2 Jewish synagogues on the island as well, in Bridgetown. Now we even have a Hindu following here on the island. Kingdom Hall Jehovah's Witnesses here on our right. Sunday is a church day in Barbados. Barbadians are a church-going people. So you'll see people moving in and around the island, most of them at this time headed to church. Barbados does not have that 24-hour economy that you see in some of the more developed countries. Businesses will close here on the island. Most businesses will close around 10 p.m. on weeknights. On Saturday, businesses close half day, so that's either 12, midday, or 1 p.m. And on Sunday, the vast majority of businesses remain closed. In Barbados, the vast majority of businesses remain closed on Sunday because most employees will go to church. Alright? We have been fortunate. We have been fortunate in the way of hurricanes. We have not seen a major hurricane here in Barbados since 1955. Since 1955, that was Hurricane Jeanette, the last instance of major devastation that the island has seen. This is owed mainly to our unique position in the island chain. Barbados is the most easterly of the Caribbean islands. And if you were to look at a map of the Caribbean, you'll see that the islands form this little chain of dots. Barbados is slightly out of that chain to the east. That means that as the hurricanes move up the island chain, they tend to move afar off from the island. We get a little bit of the rain, we get a little bit of the wind, but most times none of the devastation. We're now in the parish of St. Peter. We're in St. Peter now, so we left St. Michael, crossed all the way through St. James, and now we're in St. Peter. This area is known as Mullins, and Mullins is popular for its beach, best known on the island for its beach. And I think we're going to come into view of a little section of the beach here at Mullins in just a second. Mullins Beach here on our left. And the guys are out getting the umbrellas and the lounge chairs. So we got one of the glass bottom boats right over there, the yellow boat. And those are really interesting. As the name suggests, the bottom of the boat is made entirely of glass. They'll sail out over the reef, just off the coast a little bit. And you can appreciate a lot of the beautiful marine life moving around under you. A lot of lovely, colourful tropical fish. And of course the hawksbill turtle is quite a sight to see here on the west coast of the island. I see a lot of these buses moving up and down. This bus coming against us now a large blue bus with a horizontal yellow stripe. Those buses belong to the Barbados Transport Board. The Barbados Transport Board is the government entity responsible for public transportation here on the island. You'll see mainly two of those large buses moving around the island as part of the public transportation system, both part of the public transportation system. And they're color-coded to the reverse. Large blue buses with a horizontal yellow stripe belong to the Barbados Transport Board. They're government-owned buses. Large yellow buses with a horizontal blue stripe are privately owned. They're privately owned. They still circulate on the public transportation route, but they're in the hands of private owners. Bus fare in Barbados is $2 Barbados. $2 Barbados, that's equal to $1 US. That's your conversion rate right now. $1 US is $2 Barbados. Here on the island we spend our own currency, the Barbados dollar. And that $2 Barbados or $1 US is regardless of the length of your trip. Regardless of the length of your trip. So it's $2 regardless of the length of your trip. You can reach anywhere on the island, pretty much anywhere on the island, with a combination of no more than 2 buses. Since most routes take you into Bridgetown, you just need to get a bus from your location into town, and then from Bridgetown to your destination. So no more than 2 buses. And that's pretty much $4 Barbados or $2 US can get you anywhere on the island. Most buses leave the terminals in town every hour on the hour, with a bit of a lull happening from 12 midnight until about 5 a.m. So between that space from 12 midnight to about 5 a.m. in the morning, getting a bus is tricky. It's dodgy business getting a bus, but outside of that time, the buses flow quite frequently. The buses, like I said before, run everywhere on the island. One can reasonably expect to reach almost anywhere here in Barbados by public bus. With a combination of 2 buses, $2 US, and give or take a few minutes, maybe 2 hours. You can get from anywhere to anywhere else. We're in the lovely Spikestown. Beautiful, beautiful Spikestown here in the parish of St. Peter. Now, I want you to take a look at what we have coming up here on our left. We're going to come into view of the lovely, lovely Port St. Charles International Marina here in Spikestown. Now, this is a luxury marina. It's a luxury marina. A lot of high-end yachts and vessels docked here at Port St. Charles. This is the main entrance here at Port St. Charles. If the greenery will permit. And the greenery will not permit. Just ahead of the Port St. Charles Marina, we have yet another luxury marina, recently completed here in the north of the island. And this is the Port Ferdinand. This is the marina here at Port Ferdinand. Here to our left and a similar concept to what we saw at Port St. Charles on the far side of these buildings. Your yachts and such. I think we can get a bit of a glimpse. Here we are on the marina here at Port Ferdinand. Then we get to head eastward and inland for a little bit. Right now, still in St. Peter, the community known as Mile and a Quarter, in Mile and a Quarter in St. Peter, alongside the SO station. We've got 3 major franchises here on the island in terms of the petrol stations. There's the SO brand. There's Sol, which took over from Shell. And there's also Rubis, which recently took over from Texaco. Yeah, the gas here in Barbados is entirely too expensive. Right now we're paying about $6.50 US per gallon. $6.50 US per gallon. That'll be about $1.75 per liter. Yeah, $1.75, $1.80 per liter. And let me tell you, it does nothing to affect the amount of traffic that we see on a weekly and month. Of course, no school today, as it's Sunday. No school tomorrow either. Independence Day. So it is a national public holiday. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we have entered the Serenade National Park. We're just going to take a bit of a walk around, take in some of the sights here. Remember, we have 20 minutes here at the Serenade National Park, and the washrooms are over to the southern side of the park, so if you need the restrooms, we can head over in that direction. tanks. The water tanks are actually part of the building codes here on the island. Large black water tanks that you'll see. Local building codes require, but of course that method of storage is going to allow you to offset your water bill quite a bit, right? And now we're still in lovely St. Peter. We're going to head over to the eastern side of the island where we begin our descent towards our second stop. You can see the lovely East Coast. Got one of the local rum shops right here, a local Old Brigham rum shop. Got the Old Brigham rum shop, and then over here you got small Pentecostal church. Now it's no coincidence that you get the church occurring in such close proximity to the rum shop, huh? All over the island. It seems as though they've been strategically placed. So everywhere across Barbados, where you pass a rum shop, you'll pass a church soon after. Or you pass a church, you'll pass a rum shop soon after. I don't really know what the reason for that is, but here on the island we say we're keeping our spirits together. Now, one thing I forgot to mention to you guys, and I should have told you before, we are BT62. That's our license plate number. Alright? Bravo Tango 62, BT62. Yeah. Because sometimes when we make our stops, other buses belonging to the company will pull up alongside us, and sometimes we find people get confused in terms of which bus they got off of. Yeah. Yeah, no big deal. The buses all go back to the port anyway, right? You want to know on this bus, this is a fun bus. Yeah. This property we're passing through now is the St. Nicholas Abbey. It's another great plantation here on the island, on all the ports. Lovely Cherry Tree Hill. This is Cherry Tree Hill here on the island, here on Cherry Tree Hill. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful views from here up on Cherry Tree Hill. We're going to pass up alongside the Morgan Lewis Mill. Another one of the important national monuments. And we're going to see the Morgan Lewis Mill in just a couple of minutes. A lot of this land is farmland. A whole lot of this land is still farmland, so a lot of crops planted, but on this particular site especially we get a lot of dairy farms and cattle. Mention some of the crops that are popular with local farmers, some of the stuff you'll find most commonly over to this northeastern side of Barbados. In terms of livestock, however, here we go, dairy farm, and just ahead we have the Morgan Lewis windmill. Alright. Guys from the Barbados Water Authority filling the tanks. Now here's the Morgan Lewis windmill, alright? Now these windmills, and especially this one at Morgan Lewis, is of special significance. It's the only remaining one. It still works here on the island. What you'll find a lot as you travel around the island on the plantations and on the former plantations is that the blades will be gone. They'll just have the large silo. And the silo, of course, you know, being a concrete structure, is going to stand the test of time. So the slaves would have brought the cane to be ground at the mill. The mechanism, as it turns, you put the cane inside and it grinds the juice out of the canes, right? And the young children, the slave children, actually used to hold on to those blades as they passed by the ground, and they'd go all the way around. Yep. The children of the slaves would hold on to the blades and they'd go all the way around until they came back to the ground and they'd let go, and that was fun for them. That's how they used to entertain themselves. I guess, you know, kind of thing you do when there's no PlayStation. Now here we have some black belly sheep over there on our right. Small flock of sheep. Now you'll notice that they're not full of thick wool. Now if you lived in this weather, you wouldn't want to have a big thick woolly coat on all day long either. Yeah? And they haven't been showing, that's actually how their hair grows. That's pretty much it. Yeah? They don't ever get big and thick and woolly. And they are sheep. Here's another. Here's another. They're sheep, they're not goats. They're sheep. They are sheep, but they never grow a thick woolly coat. They never ever grow a thick woolly coat. Again, mostly because of the climate. It's ideal for this climate.
Yeah, look at all the sheep.
There, we got a whole bunch of them over here on the left. Its entirety. Over here on our right we have the St. Andrew's Parish Church, which reminds me, by the way, we're now in St. Andrew. We're now in St. Andrews. St. Andrew's Parish Church. Remind you, each parish has its own parish church. This is the one for St. Andrew. All Anglican churches, also known as Episcopalian churches. The green monkey populates the island in its entirety. They live in all of the wooded areas and even on the outskirts of many of the residential areas. They are, however, very good at staying out of sight. They're very good at staying out of sight. They'll avoid human contact at all costs in most cases. We do have a few cases where the monkeys have kind of been socialized due to the extended presence of human beings. Some of them have gotten used to seeing humans and they'll come close and they'll even take food from you and that kind of stuff. The government advises us not to approach the monkeys. Socially speaking, they're not deemed to be dangerous, but when cornered, they have been known to scratch and bite. The Costa Edwards Primary School out here in the parish of St. Andrew, the Costa Edwards Primary School. Large males will grow to about 2 feet in size. That does not include the tail. Large males about 2 feet, so they're quite big. They get their name because the fur is a brownish mossy color. A bit of green there, it's a green tinge. So we call them green monkeys. Bit of a dying tradition here on the island. People used to keep them as pets. You will still get some guys doing it from time to time, but it's not as common as it used to be. 10, 15 years ago, I used to see guys riding through Bridgetown on bicycles that have a little monkey perched on the shoulder, tethered with a leash. Breadfruit. We eat a lot of breadfruit here on the island. It's a very important part of the Barbadian diet. Now, the fruit cannot be consumed directly as it is from the tree. It has to be cooked or prepared in some way. I'll tell you what that in a little bit. I want to see this house that's on our right, on our left, sorry, getting mixed up here. This house right here, this is a chattel house. That refers to the style of construction, this type of construction, the chattel house. I'll tell you about the historical significance of the chattel house. It dates back to the post-slavery times, just after slavery. Coming down on Bathsheba, ladies and gentlemen, heading all the way down to Bathsheba now. Bathsheba, like I mentioned before, lovely, lovely beach here on the eastern side of the island. Home to our annual international surfing competitions. We've got competitors coming from as far as Australia, from California, from Miami, from other Caribbean islands, from Canada. Beautiful Bathsheba Beach. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to spend 20 minutes here at the lovely Bathsheba Beach in the parish of St. Joseph. We're going to disembark. There's the large boulders that just sit offshore, right? That line the beach. Yeah, we saw the large rocks. Right, I'm going to put those there this morning for your viewing pleasure. Actually, they are part of the original coral reef that were believed to have broken off during the formation of the island. So they're as old as the island itself. Yeah? Interestingly enough, you notice the mushroom shape, yeah, at the bottom of the rocks that the ones that sit just offshore have. That would have been the constant erosive action of the waves and the wind, salt water and the sea salt in the wind as they act against the base of the rocks. You'll also notice that the rocks that are inland actually don't have that distinct shape. On the right, we have the Andrews Sugar Factory. Andrews Sugar Factory is one of the sugar factories across Barbados, established for grinding cane and the manufacture of sugar. At this time, undergoing some major renovations. Sugar used to be the main industry here in Barbados. It used to be the main industry here on the island and our main foreign exchange earner. Tourism has since taken over. Barbados has developed quite a reputation for producing some of the finest quality sugar on the international market, exported to Canada, the United States, Europe and the United Kingdom, as well as neighbouring Caribbean territories. We're in the parish of St. Joseph still, and we're going to head towards St. George, where we're going to make our third and final stop for the morning at the Gun Hill Signal Station. Let's head inside.
Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of 6 signal stations throughout Barbados. This one was built in 1818. Okay? The reason the signal stations were already built was because in 1816 there was a slave rebellion in Barbados to the south of the island, and these signal stations were built initially in 1816 because of this rebellion. So when these guys came here, they were able to look around. Now right over there is the airport. Jamal, you see the radars thing? Oh yes, look at there, right up in the corner there. Alright, this other tall building is the Central Bank of Barbados. So that is the tallest building in Barbados. And for those of you who have not yet known, this is what our national flag looks like. I would have said to you, blue, gold and blue. The trident is broken, signifying us breaking away from England. It is black because about 93% of the population in Barbados is black. The blue represents the sky and the ocean, the sea. The gold represents the sun, the sand. Okay? And that is the national colors of Barbados. This is our Independence Month, so all of November we will celebrate it. On Monday morning at 8 o'clock sharp, there will be an Independence Parade, which will involve the military, the police, the prison service, the government security officers, the fire service, St. John Ambulance, the Barbados Red Cross, the Girl Guides, the Boy Scouts, the Church Lad Brigade, the Pathfinders from the Adventist schools. Everybody is going to be there.
As you would have heard, the Gun Hill Signal Station, that was a former British military outpost. If you look up and to your left, we can see the lion here at Gun Hill. Up and to the left, we come into view of the lion. on our right, we have the clinic. We have the public clinic here at the Glebe. The green building on our right is the Glebe public clinic. Now, these clinics, and others just like this one, are part of the local public health system, alright? Medical attention in Barbados is free for residents. All medical attention in Barbados is free for residents. And the clinic at the Glebe is part of a network of clinics that are strategically placed around the island in order to give medical service, health services to different communities. Ahead of us behind the trees, we have the St. George Parish Church. So directly ahead of us, just behind the trees. Remember, each parish has its own parish church. That's the one for St. George. The clinics, the public clinics, will provide healthcare services for the community in which they are based. So the clinics are all over the island, and they all provide relief to the island's main healthcare facility. That's the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, just on the outside of Bridgetown. We'll pass by the hospital as we head back into town. The Queen Elizabeth Hospital is the island's main healthcare facility. Medical attention is free for residents of the island and the island's public health care institutions. Besides that, minors under the age of 16, minors under 16, seniors over the age of 65, all diabetic and hypertension patients will receive any prescribed medicines free of charge. Any medicine that you're prescribed will also be free, as long as you meet any of those criteria. Ahead of us in the JTC Ramsey Circle, we have the Emancipation Statue, better known locally as the Bassa Statue. While we were there at Gun Hill, Emerson would have spoken a little bit about this statue, and the statue depicts a slave known only as Bassa. And Bassa led a massive slave revolt in the early 1800s. Although the revolt was believed to have been successful, Bassa did lose his life in that action. It was commissioned and erected in 1983. It was the work of master sculptor Carl Broodhagen. Let's turn along 2 Mile Hill. Now the Barcelona Consandifer Conference Centre, just a second, before El Aro Court. I told you that's where all the important high-level meetings are held. One such meeting was the 1997 Conference of Caribbean Heads of Government. Conference of Caribbean Heads of Government, where all the prime ministers of these Caribbean nations were in attendance. We have Flow, local telecommunications giant here on the island. This is their main office. So all the prime ministers of the Caribbean islands were in attendance at the 1997 Caribbean Heads of Government Conference here at the Lloyd Erskine Sanderford Centre. Also in attendance was then President of the United States, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton came to Barbados on official business to attend the meeting of Caribbean Heads of Government in the company of his wife, Hillary Clinton, of course, then First Lady of the United States. What they did at that meeting, they re-signed a series of expired treaties that allowed for cooperation between United States naval forces and the Coast Guard forces of these Caribbean islands. Allowing for cooperation between these forces in order to prevent and to intercept illegal drugs which were being manufactured in South America and heading en route to the United States through Caribbean waters. So basically, these Caribbean islands would have given the US permission to allow their naval forces to intercept these drugs in Caribbean waters. So Clinton's visit was the second official presidential visit that the island has seen. In 1984, then President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, also came to Barbados on official business in the company of then First Lady Nancy Reagan. And they would have been the originators of those treaties, which were then re-signed years later by Clinton. Now, 3 U.S. presidents have graced these shores, 3 United States presidents have graced these shores. Anybody have any idea who the third one was? I'll give you a clue.
Washington.
When he came here, he wasn't the president yet. And here we go, we have a taker. You're absolutely correct. In 1751, in November of 1751, at just 17 years of age, George Washington came to Barbados in the company of his older half-brother, Lawrence Washington. They spent 2 months on the island. They arrived in November of 1751 and left in December of that same year. As a matter of fact, the very house that George Washington stayed at while he was here was recent. Well, in 1997, when President Clinton was here, he took part in an unveiling ceremony in which the president himself cut the ribbon and opened to the public George Washington House. George Washington House sits on the outskirts of the garrison Savannah. That's the island. It was the island's largest military installation, and that is indeed the very place where young Washington stayed while he was in the island. Where he stayed here in Barbados happened to be the island's largest military installation. And because he much enjoyed his time there, and he was very exposed to military activity, the young president-to-be then left the island with military interest. Another interesting fact to note, Barbados is the only country that George Washington has ever been in outside the United States. The only country he's ever visited outside the United States. Just rolling back into Bridgetown, we're passing by the Charles Duncan and O'Neill Bridge. Over in the corner we have the Fairchild Street bus terminal. Buses from that terminal will service the south and east of the island. We've got the Serenade immediately on our left with some of the pleasure craft docked there. Independence Square is over on our right, and in the distance behind Independence Square we have the Barbados Parliament Building. Barbados Parliament Building, all of our high-level government meetings are held there, or as I like to say, the place where overpaid men in suits get paid to make all the decisions that make my life miserable. In the middle of Independence Square we have the Nelson statue, another Chefette restaurant. This is another Chefette restaurant. Just alongside the boardwalk here in Bridgetown, the Bridgetown boardwalk, some of the pleasure fishing vessels docked right here off the Serenade, and these guys will take you out for a nice deep sea fishing expedition at the cost of the rental of the boat. Usually 3 to 4 hours, and they're really nice. These guys know where to go to catch all the big fish. So if you're into fishing at all, this is definitely something that you want to try. A lot of large marlin and some big sailfish, as much as 100 pounds. These guys know where to go get the good stuff. Here we got a boat returning from one of the fishing expeditions. Hope they were lucky. And here we turn left onto Hink Street, and with that we're pretty much on the final stretch to head back into the Bridgetown port. As we travel along Hink Street, if you look over to your right, sorry, to the left, I'll turn around here, and back over the bay we can see the Barbados Hilton Hotel. The Barbados Hilton Hotel is all the way on the other side of the bay. Very sure the buildings, I think it'll come into view again. The Fisheries Division of the Ministry of Agriculture is immediately to our left. And the fishing industry is very, very important here on the island. We've got a local fish market. Over on the right we have the bus terminal at Cheapside. The buses from the Cheapside terminal will service the north and west of the island. Activity pretty quiet right now at the bus terminal. Sunday, for the most part, like we said before, tends to be a quiet day here on the island. And we can see Carlisle Bay, and just across Carlisle Bay, if you look back to your left, that we see there, that's the Barbados Hilton Hotel. That's the Barbados Hilton Hotel. Pelican Craft Village is over on the right. The Pelican Craft Village is an excellent place to pick up souvenirs, examples of local arts and crafts here in Barbados. An easy breezy quiet Sunday afternoon here in Barbados, back inside the Bridgetown port, ladies and gentlemen. Safe and sound and in the nick of time. On behalf of David and myself, indeed on behalf of our parent company, Foster and Ince, we'd like to sincerely thank you guys for touring with us today. It was our distinct pleasure to host you. We certainly hope that you had as good a time with us as we did with you. We want to encourage you to enjoy the rest of your cruise, and please don't make this your last visit to Barbados. We'd love to have you back. We love having you here the first time. Well, for any of you who may decide to venture outside the port, you can seek information on taxis at this pavilion over here on the left.